When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, a holiday you're saving.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. This season, enjoy spacious, comfortable rooms and friendly service when you book with Hilton instead. Hilton for the stay.
Dr. Raj.
Dr. Raj Dasgupta.
The most interesting pulmonologist in the world.
Welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast, a show all about empowering knowledge, addressing difficult topics, raising awareness, and being positive. Dr. Raj is a quadruple board-certified physician, associate professor of clinical medicine, and the associate program director of internal medicine residency. He was a co-host on the TNT series Chasing the Cure with Ann Curry, as well as a regular on the TV show The Doctors. And now, here's our show.
Hi, and welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast. And what is this a podcast of? A podcast of happiness and wellness, of great people, amazing stories. And today is quite a treat because, number one, I can't believe I got a former governor to go on my podcast. That means I'm making my way up. But more importantly, one of my passions is Alzheimer's. And for those who know me as a friend, that my dad has Alzheimer's. He's in hospice. My mom, greatest mom in the whole world, is taking care of him at an age of 81. Now, my dad's in hospice, so he's got help, but my mom's amazing. And so caregiver fatigue and all the things that happen to caregivers is such a big passion of mine. And you know that because, I work for Aegis Living, who is an assisted living company who is all about memory care and taking care of demented patients. And I actually opened up my portfolio to lend my expertise to them because I really wanted to learn from my mistakes with my dad to help others. So to have someone who understands what I'm going through is like amazing. So today, my guest is going to be former Wisconsin Governor Martin J. Schreiber, and he is an award-winning crusader for Alzheimer caregivers and persons with dementia, reaching audiences nationwide at live events and through various forms of media. Marty uses humor, compassion as he shares lessons from his ongoing decade-plus journey as a caregiver. He speaks on tours, taking conferences, civic organizations, senior communities, libraries, and much more around the country. He has given more than 600 presentations since launching his awareness campaign around the late 2016. Whether in Texas, Idaho, New York, Missouri, Florida, Ohio, or even closer to home, caregivers tell Marty that his message gives them encouragement and hope that they can manage their challenging situation. Marty's book, it's called My Two Elaines, Learning, Coping, and Surviving as an Alzheimer Caregiver, is a winning acclaim from caregivers across the country. It was rated as a number 11 best Alzheimer's book of all time by bookauthority.org and was named to the caring.com's list of best caregiving books of both 2017 and 18. Now in its fourth print edition, My Two Elaines has been released as an ebook, an audiobook, and on CD. Net proceeds are used to promote Alzheimer's caregiving support. Prior to writing My Two Elaines and while still caring for his wife at home, Marty helped the Alzheimer's Association launch Operation Stronger Together in 2015. This multi-year awareness program has helped the Southeastern Wisconsin chapter connect record numbers of families to education and resources that are vital to successful caregiving. He's also collaborated with Wisconsin state government and various business groups to help create the online dementia-friendly employers toolkit, which is now used as a human resources department and employee assistance programs. These initiatives have led to Marty being recognized with awards from Alzheimer's associations and other organizations. Marty and his wife, Elaine, who died in 2022, are parents of 4 children, and they have 13 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren. And it's with great honor that I introduce you to Marty. How are you doing today?
Hey, Dr. Raj, I'm doing great. That's quite a long introduction, I want you to know. And so thank you. You know, when you were going through that introduction, I was waiting for the byline, and friends may call at the funeral home between the hours of 6 and 10, and you know, visitation will be so forth and so forth. But thank you. And I tell you, it's Dr. Raj, it's really a very special honor for me to be with you, particularly because I know the work that you do in helping others learn, cope, and survive really is what you do too. And the fact that you have this challenge as it relates to the journey that your mom and dad are on with the Alzheimer's. And so, gosh, it's really special for me to be with you. So thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You know, when I heard you're coming on here, I just, I YouTubed you. That's what these new generations do. And I saw some interviews you had on some big networks. Your interviews always make me tear up because I totally relate. And I love the concept of how, you really understand what it's like to give up part of your life for someone you love, even if it's not the same person. And the way you articulate on national TV, it made me, it's very emotional. It's really just as equal for me to have you here as a big treat for me.
Yeah, well, thank you very, very much. Thank you.
So, all right, I'm gonna jump into this because I want to make sure I got some great questions for you. So let's start off with your book. So what made you write the book, My Two Elaines, about your experience being an Alzheimer's caregiver, to your wife, Elaine?
But all right. Well, first of all, let me tell you why the book is entitled My Two Elaines.
All right.
First was the girl that I fell in love with when I was a freshman in high school. And of all the things that could ever happen, the most wonderful woman in the world. I fell in love with her right away, and we dated, we got engaged, we got married, and 4 children, 13 grandchildren, and now I think 9 great-grandchildren.
Oh, it's 9. I need to update.
Well, it's easy to have great-grandchildren. You just sit by the phone and wait for it to ring and say, "Congratulations, Grandpa, you got another grandchild." But anyway, so the first Elaine was this wonderful, caring person, and if whatever I would set about to do, she was my life's partner. And if I would run for political office, she would be the hardest working campaigner. And if I would lose, she would never let me feel defeated. And I point that out in the first Elaine, never letting me feel defeated, although I might lose. The second Elaine began to appear when she was in her mid-60s. And she would get lost going to and from places she had been going to and from for the last 10 years. She was a great cook, and sometimes she would mess up a recipe so bad that she would cry.
Aww.
Sometimes she would come up with stories that we did and it never happened. And she would scrape the side of the car in and out of the garage, and all of those things began to happen. So that is the second Elaine. The same human being, but certainly beginning to become a different person. So now when the doctor told me about when we had the diagnosis, the doctor said basically there's 4 things: Numenda and Aricept, which are supposed to delay it. We took it. I don't know if it's good or bad, but we did it. And then socialization, and then making sure that we walk, which is the best exercise for the brain, and a glass of red wine every evening. That's what they told me. Okay. Well, I wasn't very smart. And so now I'm on this journey with Elaine, and I'm seeing her begin to lose her memory. And what I'm doing, doctor, is I'm keeping her, trying to keep her in my world. Elaine, it didn't happen on a Wednesday, it happened on a Thursday. Elaine, it wasn't the Smiths, it was the Joneses. Elaine, why do you have to put the car keys in the dish? Elaine, why do you have to ask me the same? And so what happened was, I was ignorant about the disease. And I actually think that many times the medical profession is ignorant about the disease, because they don't realize, and we as caregivers don't realize, that when there is a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, there's two patients, the person who is ill and the caregiver. And we've got to know that, because understand 30% of the people who are caregivers die before their loved one. And the reason many of them die before their loved one is because the anxiety, the depression, the grieving, all of the factors that go into this, the feeling of failure, all of those things come in, and it takes a toll on a person's health. So why did I write this book? I wrote this book because when I began to understand this disease better, I began to realize how important it was for me to join the world of this person who now is. I began to understand that. But then another thing I began to understand is, so Doctor, 20 years ago when Elaine was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, this disease could not be cured or prevented. Today in 2024, this disease cannot be cured or prevented. So we know for the practical moment, we cannot fight this disease. But what we can do, and again, this is why I wrote the book, what we can do is understand this disease, and what we can do is set a realizable goal. As I said, Elaine said, if I might lose, yes, but she'd never let me feel defeated. We caregivers can't feel defeated, although the disease creates an unfortunate, unsuccessful challenge that we can beat. We can't do it. But what we can do is say, okay, what we can do is look to try and help our loved one live their best life possible. That's what we can do. And that's realizable. And when I got to that point, it was sort of like a relief. Now there's still the pain and of you watching your loved one's memory disappear. But finally you have something which you can realize that you're doing to help your loved one. So that's a long answer, Doctor, to your question. But why did I write the book? Because I want to help caregivers learn, cope, and survive. And on this journey, I also saw people who were doing what I did in the beginning. No, you can't have another towel. You already had a towel. No, you can't have another cookie. And don't take that wine glass. That's not yours. My goodness, we missed the point by not understanding the relevancy, the importance of joining the world of the person who now is. And if we understand our goal is to help them live the best life possible, we join their world, and they take great comfort from that.
No, that's a great answer. And I'm going to even get a little more personal. I want to hear about, how was Elaine, about some of when you first realized she had Alzheimer's. But before I throw you the question, I just wanted to say that, my mom's a nurse, I'm a doctor, and despite all this training I had, it was hard for me to even spot the signs of Alzheimer's in my dad. And I'll admit it. I feel so stupid about it because, oh, Dad didn't remember these names. Well, he never liked remembering people's names anywhere. Dad's always got lost. He's always angry to begin with. It's just Dad. So with that being said, let's go to you and Elaine.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
speaking into the void?
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video.
Brilliant, just brilliant.
This week, the West Coast action heats up when the Rams meet the Seahawks in a huge divisional showdown. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party, TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. And don't miss the Broncos and Chiefs on Christmas night. It's Thursday Night Football, only on Prime Video. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
What were the first signs that there might be something different with Elaine? And did you even put Alzheimer's high on your differential? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, the answer is no. I did not put it very high on the differential when things were going awkward and bad, because that never happens to me. That's what happens to other people.
Yeah.
My God, I'm not, And then what happened, as I said, she would get lost driving to and from places she had been going to and from for 10 years. And she would come up with these stories about what happened, and that never happened. And so now and then we would go shopping, panic. Where is she? I don't know where she is. We go for a bicycle ride. Now, where is Elaine? And so finally, it was a family doctor that made the diagnosis, and you don't want to accept it. Doctor, you and I don't want to lose your dad. Your mom doesn't want to lose her husband. I don't want to lose my wife. And so we don't want to look at it and say, this is what's happening. And we don't want to do it. We don't, but God, it's so hard to come to realize that this is a journey that our loved one is on. And if we can get to that point and understand it, we can learn to pivot and try and let go of this person who once was, so that we can embrace this person who now is. And oh my gosh, what a difference that makes in your life, because it's sort of like a relief. It's like someone giving you a very nice warm shower after almost freezing to death. It's just such a relax. But oh gosh, and so like with what your mom and dad are going through. So one thing, when I say what your mom and dad are going through, so when I wrote this book, I thought I had all the answers. But lo and behold, before we go to press, maybe 3-4 weeks before, I find a series of notes and journals that Elaine had been keeping ever since her diagnosis. I went through those notes, and I want you to know that we had prayed together and we had cried together. But until I read her notes, did I understand what it's like to be diagnosed with this illness and go forward. Never did I understand the courage that it takes, but also, and this is so important for caregivers to understand, never did I understand that I was her lifeline. She was totally, my Marty, this, and please take care of yourself above that, for me as much as yourself, and so forth. And so we caregivers, we want to serve our loved one. We hate the fact that we're losing them. But then also we got to realize that we are such an important factor in their life that we need to take care of ourselves. It's like saying, okay, well, I'm going to have one of the biggest challenges of my lifetime. And by God, I'm going to take care of somebody who's sick. And so then I don't eat right. And maybe I get into the alcohol. And maybe I don't sleep right. And maybe I don't socialize. And maybe I don't exercise. Well, that's really foolhardy, isn't it? Because the fact of the matter is, we're doing everything to destroy our ability to help our loved one. And but then we go one step further. We're also my children came to me when Elaine was getting along more challenged in her situation, and they said, "Dad, if you don't do something, we're going to lose you as well as Mom, and we don't want to." Two parents. And so caregivers have to understand, we've got to understand that, yes, this is a terrible disease. We can't have realizable goal, but also there's another factor, and that is what we mean to the other loved ones around us. But also, if we take care of ourselves, we're really helping our loved one.
Yeah. So I want to know about first reaction. So I can tell you, when my dad was first diagnosed, which was a pure shock, and it was like someone just hit me in the face. My initial reaction was tearful and crying, because I knew, seeing other patients in the hospital and outpatient setting, what was going to come. My mom didn't realize as much, and she's always been positive. So my question to you is, when you first got the diagnosis about Elaine, what was your initial reaction?
I think back at that time, and I thought, okay, because Elaine was, as I said, she was showing these signs of getting lost and so forth, but nothing really. I can go on like this, I can take care of her. Well, then And so I don't think I ever faced reality. I did go to the bookstore and I saw books on Alzheimer's, and I would say that it maybe, the bookshelf is a foot wide of different books. And I tried looking at it and I never saw anything that gave me the basic understanding of what I think I should be doing and knowing in order for this thing to go forward. And so it wasn't until I think, Doctor, the impact on me was sort of one hit in the face at a time. Never enough at one knockout, but a slap in the face when she would get lost,
Yeah.
A slap in the face when she would mess up her recipes, a slap in the face when she would, keep on asking the same question and so forth. And so then you get enough slaps in the faces later when there's something, and that's then when you finally realize, gosh, this is happening to us.
Yeah.
And tough deal.
But, one thing that I wanted you to elaborate on, because I loved it, because you mentioned it in a lot of your interviews, is something called therapeutic fibbing. And I got to tell you, I've been using that even before you made up a name for it. Can you please explain to my audience what is therapeutic fibbing? I know it's in your book, but I want to hear it from you.
Sure. Well, and the best thing, Elaine asked me once, how are my parents doing? And I said, Elaine, they're both dead. The shock on her face when she realized that she did not say goodbye to her parents, much less attend the funeral. So I promised I would never put her through that again. And so the next time she asked me, how are my parents? And I said, Elaine, your mom likes working at church. Your dad likes the sports. They're doing well. Oh, she said, that makes me so happy. And so that was therapeutic fibbing. And I point out therapeutic fibbing. There's two things, Doctor, to therapeutic fibbing. One is I tried it the first year of marriage. Not so much therapeutic fibbing, the first year of marriage. But also the second point, Doctor, and that is not everyone believes me on this. And I'm going to tell you right up front, not everyone believes me on this. But if you go to the King James Version of the Bible and you go into the Old Testament, and you go to where Moses went up to Mount Sinai and he brought down the 10 Commandments, I was there and I helped them. I want, Doctor, if you see Moses, don't call him Mo. He got very upset. I said, hey, Mo. But anyway, so I'm up on this mountain with him. I help him carry down these tablets. They were really heavy. So I get to the bottom and I look at the front of the tablets and hear in Arabic Hebrew the 10 Commandments. So I said, that doesn't do me any good. I don't know what's going on. But I looked at the back of those tablets, and you won't believe it, Doctor, but on the back it says therapeutic fibbing is good. Therapeutic fibbing is advisable. Therapeutic fibbing is not against the 10 Commandments. Therapeutic fibbing is the 11th commandment saying that it's good, you should do it. And so here again, Doctor, the therapeutic fibbing comes under the heading of joining the world of the person who now is. And there's therapeutic fibbing, and then there's redirection. At 9:30 in the morning, Elaine wants a glass of wine. No, you can't. That's not the answer. Do you want red wine or white wine? Do you want it in a taller glass or in a smaller glass? Do you want to drink it with your neighbors, or should we invite your sisters? So redirection, maybe by the time we have this discussion, or maybe say, well, let's have a cup of coffee first. But the redirection means such a difference, because again, we're joining their world, but we're not battling this disease head on, because we'll never win it. And so, but then we get to the point, let's assume redirection doesn't work. Well, let's think for a moment. Does it matter if someone has a glass of wine at 9:30 in the morning if they really don't know it's morning or night anyway? It doesn't.
Yeah.
So, so why did I write the book? I wrote the book because there's so much pain and sadness and depression and grieving that comes along with it. And by understanding this disease better, at least we can relieve some of that. At least we can have some kind of comfort in knowing that we're helping our loved one have a better life. And so that's why I salute so much what you're doing, because both you and your mom and I and other caregivers know what this is like. And if we can help others along this journey, that makes me feel very good.
And just to add on to your last answer is that no, before when I was in the early stages of trying to redirect and, hey, answer the truth, it just made me so sad watching my dad get angry and we get into a little tiff with each other. And I just feel in my heart that they just take a toll if you're always riling up your loved one, so I love therapeutic fibbing and I love that there's a name for it. And I really it makes me so much happier that my mom's not stressed, my dad's good, and I hope other people will take the good parts of it and use it because I loved it. So with that, I like this question. This is a good one. So when we talk about your generation, and at that time, men were conditioned to, quote, handle things themselves, end quote. When did you have to reassess that belief that you grew up on?
Well, a couple of things. One of them was when, as I said, my children had like this intervention with me, and they say, if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to be dead before mom. And so, why don't you ask me that question again? I just got one of these fleeting moments.
You are a generation where men.
Oh, about asking for help. And so, we refuse to ask directions. And well, here's one of the problems we men have. We don't want to ask for directions, and we also don't want to ask for help. But I try and so thank you for this question, because what we caregivers don't understand, men particularly, that to ask for help means you're not giving up.
Well said.
If we're surrounded by an enemy and we know that there's never going to be any kind of a way for ourselves to survive, to just sit there and say we're not going to go ask for help, well, that's absolutely ludicrous. To ask for help really is a sign of courage, and again, it's a sign. It's a showing that we're not giving up, and so it's very. I don't know of anyone who can really take on this disease and help their loved ones survive well if they don't take care of themselves. And also by taking care of themselves, asking for help and assistance. And so it would be my hope that, again, caregivers realize that there's nothing wrong with asking for help. And here's something.
Tell me.
Okay. So I go to counseling. I'm getting run down. I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical bills because of whatever is going wrong.
Of course.
And so I go see I'm with the counselor, and the counselor says, what's troubling you? And I said, I cannot see putting Elaine into a nursing home, into assisted living. The key word, putting.
Yeah.
And the counselor says, you're not putting Elaine anyplace. What you are doing is you are giving her an opportunity to be who she is now. Can Marty Schreiber's 24/7 nursing home care take care of her? And the answer to that was no. I was sleeping by the door at night for fear she'd go out. I was becoming irrationally irritable. I couldn't handle it, and so forth. And so we got to the point where I realized that my refusal to put Elaine into a home was my arrogance and my self-centeredness. It wasn't thinking of Elaine. Because if I would have been thinking about Elaine, it would have been a no-brainer, because her life was not a good life at home with me. And so I thought I would be battling this disease personally. And so it was selfish on my part. It was arrogance on my part. It was a matter of me simply just not understanding what this whole thing is about. It's not my personal battle against Alzheimer's. It's how to help my wife, Elaine, live her best life possible. That's what it's all about. And oh gosh, I sometimes would like to beat myself over the head a couple of times. And that's one thing, Doctor, you and I have to share with other caregivers. We can't shoulda on ourselves. Because if I don't watch it, I can get myself into a deep hole of regret and sadness and coulda, shoulda done. And wait a minute. And when I found out the right thing to do, by God, I did it. And so, all right, sure, I'm going to make a mistake or two, but by God, I made things as good as I could once I knew what I should be doing.
So hey, I want to know when Elaine finally made it to an assisted living, was that a very hard transition for you? Would you go there like every day? Was it hard to say goodbye every day, knowing that I'm sure she's always calling you out? Did it eventually get better? You know what I mean? How was that?
Oh, there's a whole bunch of answers to the question. Would she eventually get better? Let me back into it, doctor. There's 2 points in this Alzheimer's situation. One is for the caregiver, and that's the pivot point where you get to the point where you understand you have to let go of this person who once was so you can embrace the person who now is. That's one pivot point. The other pivot point is when our loved one finally enters their own world completely. So in the beginning of the diagnosis, Elaine was sometimes think, yes, I have it. No, I don't. Sometimes rational, sometimes not, and so forth. Well, finally, by the grace of God, I believe she got into her own world. So when we went through the transition, putting her, again, the word putting, having her go into assisted living memory care was one of the most difficult challenges, decisions I ever had to make. It was absolutely heartbreaking to think that I was taking my wife into assisted living. And again, I had to remind myself, what is this? Who is this all about? And it was about Elaine. And so in the beginning, I would tell therapeutic lies. So I would leave. I said, Elaine, I have to go to Madison now because I spent a lot of time. I live in Milwaukee, and I was in the state legislature, and so I went to Madison an awful lot. Also, when I was lieutenant governor and governor, and so I went to Madison. So she would accept that, and then there was the point where she said, please don't go, and how heartbreaking that is. And then as the disease progressed and she got more into her own world, I meant less to her. And as it relates to, I still meant something to her, but if I would leave, I would not miss her as much. And so this leads me into something else. So one day we're having lunch in assisted living.
Okay.
There. And while we're having lunch, she's beginning to cry.
Okay.
And I said, why are you crying? Well, she says, I'm beginning to love you more than my husband. Yeah. Well, I didn't ask her what's wrong with your turkey husband. I didn't do that. But here's the point. I learned, and what I want to also share with caregivers and their families, it is not necessary for our loved one to know our name in order for our hearts to touch. So it is sometimes so painful. And I understand that for our loved one to not know our name and call in 50, 60 years together, 70, 80 years, I don't know what it is, but a long time together, that's okay. Again, we're joining their world. And you can have hearts touched by holding a hand or by giving a hug or by singing a song or by listening to music or by just being together or by laughing and smiling with one another. And so, it's a horrible, terrible disease. But by the same token, we can, if we are smart, we can have moments of joy and we can get a comfort level of knowing that we had these moments with our loved one in which her heart was lighter and her smile was there. And because of her heart lighter, our heart would be lighter and our smile would be there. And so it's a tough, arduous, difficult journey. And again, I get back to why I wrote the book.
Yeah.
In more simple terms is that I went on this journey and I went up around through the valleys and up the hills and now I'm finally back. And I realized that others are taking the same journey. And I would say, please, before you go, sit down and visit with me a little bit. And let me share with you what I learned. You can do with it as you wish, but please let me just share with you because it's a tough journey. I think I can make it easier for you. I think I make it so it's easier to deal with. I think I can. And so please listen.
Hey, so let me ask you a two-part question. So when you finally realized, hey, I need some help, Marty's personal assisted living is not working, where did you turn to first? And after you answer that, the follow-up question is for my listeners, for other people out there in similar situations, where do you suggest in 2024 they should turn to?
Well, Elaine refused to have anybody in the home. I tried to get some respite for myself, but she refused to have anybody come in. I would make up therapeutic fibs about this new person in the neighborhood wanted Elaine to show her where the grocery store was and a few other things, but Elaine would absolutely have none of that. Then we finally got into assisted living, not assisted living, into daycare, and she refused to do that. Well, what I remembered was that Elaine, like college, she had a master's degree in early childhood. I said, what about going on to school? All right. Well, she said, I would like that. So again, wink, wink, a little therapeutic fibbing. I went to daycare and I talked to the people there and I said, Elaine would like to come and go to school. And so I got a spiral notebook and I got a pen and gave it to Elaine. And so she went to school and she took notes on what happened. And in the evening, we went through those notes. And then what finally now as the situation goes on and Elaine is losing more of her memory, I'm becoming more distraught and not taking care of myself. And because of that, I'm becoming this irrationally irritable person. My health is being affected. And so finally, I realized that I just have to do something more to get help. So that's put us into assisted living memory care. Now, what I did not do and what I wish I would have been sort of encouraged and pushed to do, but it's my fault. I'm not blaming anyone. Support groups are so important.
Okay.
Support groups are so important for people to be able to attend and to visit and to realize that there are other people with this challenge that maybe we can help out each other, and there's great comfort in that. In Wisconsin, there's the Aging and Disability Resource Center, but your county or state government should have some kind of assistance for additional information on what you might be able to do. But first of all, the very first is I would encourage people to read my book. I certainly would encourage people to think about daycare. I certainly would encourage people to think about maybe someone coming in the home for respite for a period of time. And then also, I was giving a talk, and one of the, we after the talk is over, we have sort of a round table, and this one woman said, what I did when things got tough, I called the family together. And I said, hey, we're in this together, and we're going to do this together, and we're going to work at it together. And so at that point, then they divided up some of the time to be spent with mom. They divided up some of the chores and so forth. Now, that doesn't always work because you're going to have siblings that are in denial. You're going to have siblings that live across the land to another, part of the country and so forth. I definitely recommend as I said, the support groups are very important. People coming into the home to be of assistance, to just sit and visit with a little bit. There is a nursing home in Milwaukee, and I would be sure that there would be other communities that would have it. But what they would do is they will provide 1 night of free lodging for respite. So that they can get away, and included in that would be maybe a massage or just something, stay away from the alcohol. What some of the things you should do? Well, some of the things you shouldn't do is get involved with the Beefeater's gin, because there's no answer that's going to be solved by drinking that stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I got one last question for you because, I did get a chance to preview your book and learn about you, and I want others to do the same thing. And I'm not just saying that because I'm looking at you through a Zoom camera. You really know what you're talking about. So where can my listeners learn more about your story and your book?
Well, thank you. we have a website, My Two Elaines, and it's all one word. And everyone is welcome to join. I enjoy giving talks. I don't charge for giving of talks. It's a mission, and I just, Doctor, I think about what I went through for those almost 20 years, and I'm thinking, if I can do something to help others have an easier time of it, that's something I want to do. And it's almost like if I would be a multi-billionaire and I could say, here's some money to have you have an easier life and so forth. Well, I don't have that, but I do have my time, and I do have this understanding, and I do have a experience that I wish to share with people. So my2elaines.com, all one word, and we'd be happy to hear from anybody.
Yeah. Well, Governor, I was just waiting to call you Governor. I love it. Thank you for being here. And I truly mean it. When you're in LA, right now I'm at Huntington Health. I just love this hospital. I would be so honored for you to come speak to my residents. They'll learn something from you. And I mean that. So I'll do that on the side. And thank you for, putting our stories out of what it's like being a caregiver. I don't think anyone really understands till they're you or me or my mom. And, there's nothing, attractive when you say the word Alzheimer's. But, when I hear your story, it does make me feel that there is a world where you can enjoy certain moments with that person. So thanks again for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
My honor and my privilege. Thank you.
All right, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed this emotional, informative podcast this week. Stay tuned for the next Dr. Raj podcast.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Dr. Raj podcast. If you enjoy the show, then please make sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app and leave a rating while you're there. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. This has been a production of MedPrep2Go, and you can learn more at medprep2go.com.